Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel. Hope you're all doing well, very well indeed. Now it came to my attention that it had been quite a while, many a blue moon since I'd done an opinion piece or a discussion led video on the channel. Did a little bit of it on the Patreon, but now of course with the new plan well underway with the channel, etc., I thought it would be a good idea to do another one of these, first time in quite a long while. And the topic of discussion for today and the question that I'm going to be throwing your way with this video is, will AI art or artificial intelligence art take over EDM or electronic dance music? Now before I get into the meat of this video and the discussion of this topic, I do want to make clear that the aim of this video is absolutely not to throw hate anyone's way or, bad feeling or just lob all the just negative energy towards specific companies or labels, individuals, whatever. It's more to just have a kind of open conversation about what I think is quite an interesting topic that is important right now and will be important very much so in the future going forward for many years, decades, etc. So yeah, just using this opportunity, this video, to kind of, like I said, open up discussion about what is quite an important topic. Now you may be sat there thinking, well Connor, what was the inspiration for this video, this topic? Why are you bringing it up? Why are you making a video around it? And it actually comes from initially this tweet from Trees Roots Music, who said, "You mean to tell me the biggest EDM label in the world," he is talking about monstercat in this particular case, "just paid for an AI generated image?" And here you have the artwork on the left and the proof that it comes from an Adobe stock website, with the image being exactly the same, barring having the logo in the bottom left here and also the name of the artist and title. Trees Roots added a follow-up to this tweet to kind of clarify what was meant by saying, "This is the biggest FU to artists I've ever seen. Paying for an Adobe stock image for cover art is kind of strange. Using AI art as cover art instead of paying an artist is kind of strange. Paying an artist to use an AI generated picture for cover art is insane." My oh my, there's quite a lot to digest here. Initial thoughts with this absolutely are, yeah, why is it that the biggest label in EDM, which I think we would call monstercat, who have paired up with Rocket League, who represents so many different kinds of electronic music, who release multiple EPs and singles every single week, why are they going down this route? Why are they taking on AI artwork to represent their music? Surely you would imagine that, with their schedule being so on point and ordered and structured, and also having, I suppose, the amount of money that they do as a label, as an imprint overall, they wouldn't ever really have to go down this route, but they have seemingly with this artwork. And with there being so many artists around, so many people lying in the underground of this scene, but even also of course people a little bit higher up who would love this job, who would love to make art that would constitute as artworks on such a big label, why are we not giving this work to those people? Why are we leaving it up to artificial intelligence to make this art? Now looking over a lot of the conversation in this thread, the replies and whatnot, apparently this is something monstercat has done before, but it was unknowingly, and they went ahead and changed it when they realized it was indeed AI artwork. Now whether they're going to be doing that again here with this one, with this specific example that's been brought up, not entirely sure, don't think that has been disclosed yet, but how it can be quite unknowing, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, the amount of people that it would have had to go through, whether it was the artist, the musician in this case who's made the music, and then I imagine multiple people within the label who would have had to okay it and verify it and kind of check where it's come from, who made it, who was paying for it, etc. How it went through so many people without knowing that it was AI generated, I'm not entirely sure. That kind of shows in itself that monstercat in particular, a massive label, are aware of how it looks having AI art representing their music. And there are other people in this thread claiming they do it way more often, that using AI generated artwork is way more of a continuous thing for monstercat. Now speculating a little bit as to why a label like monstercat would go down the AI route for their artwork, I think one can only assume it's a time dependent thing, that they didn't have that much time to sort this out for this particular release, so they go online, they find an image, they tweak it a tiny bit here and there, but mostly just use that image and kind of run with it. I mean, cost as well, that will definitely come into it. It is likely cheaper, but we'll get onto that in a bit. As unbelievable as it may sound as well, I think most people don't really pay attention or know what makes makes AI art. And it could have easily been the case within monstercat that the people making that decision, having the final say on what artwork was used for a specific release, don't really know. And so someone else might have paid for it, and then it comes to them and they're just like, oh yeah, you know, looks good, looks great, I don't really see any problems with that, doesn't, you know, show itself to be anything particularly problematic just through looking at the image. And that is a process that I think most people are going through at the moment, to be honest, just trying to work out and understand what makes AI art and how you can kind of spot it just by looking at it. I mean, I'll be honest, I couldn't tell what it was about it that made it look so clearly AI generated. Yeah, just by looking at it off the bat. I mean, is it the futuristic aesthetic of it? Is it the coloring? Is it obvious mistakes here and there? I mean, yeah, it is clear to some, but not to others. Building a little bit on what I was talking about earlier, it is also apparently the case that the musician provides the artwork for monstercat. Otherwise, if they don't do that, then they pay the cost of the artwork that monstercat provide. And this does make sense and goes some way to explaining why this kind of thing happens. So you have a musician who isn't, you know, very well off, doesn't have that much money, finds an image online, uses the image, tweaks it a little bit, sends it off to monstercat, and they say, yeah, looks good, looks great. I imagine as well that'll be more time efficient. So yeah, from that perspective, I suppose you can kind of see why it happens. But this is the question: should monstercat step in at that point and say, no, this is AI artwork, we know it, we can tell, and we're not going to use it? Given the process they go through with this, is it on monstercat to intervene when the musician chooses that AI artwork and says that's what I'm going to use, or is it all on the musician? What do you think? Interesting questions, I'm sure you'll agree, but I do think that ultimately monstercat want to do the right thing and set an example as the biggest label in EDM, and I'm sure they will from here, given the backlash and the exposure of this kind of thing, again with this kind of topic and debate being brought up in this way and people responding in the way they have. And yeah, what does that mean? What does setting an example mean? What does doing the right thing mean? Well, as we all know, it means not foregoing actual artists when it comes to this kind of thing, when it comes to making artwork for any reason, especially for such a big label. But people, that is not all, because the topic popped up again later in the week, last week we're talking about. Here we have a tweet from Astaroth, a young aspiring up and coming dubstep producer. This artwork, this full stack thing right here from Rude Service, Bear Grylls' label, this artwork is unacceptable from a label meant to be professional. Now the case we have here is a little bit different in that we have an artwork that people are just saying is bad and lazy for a supposedly big label, and off the back of that, what we have in the replies is people just assuming for the most part that it is AI generated because of that, because of how lazy, uninspired and basic it is, and also actually a few people that are claiming it is AI from what they've read. It all just opens up an interesting discussion about integrity within art, and in the replies of this tweet in particular, just had quite a few people using the word ethical with their replies, with their reasoning for what they were saying to back up what they meant. I mean, yeah, if it is AI generated, does it lose its meaning and its soul? Does using AI art to slap on as a cover work demean the importance of artwork to music as well? Quite possibly. I mean, many would argue that if it is just generated by a machine, by a bit of technology, it doesn't have that authentic human input, and so would indeed lose its meaning and its soul. And I must say that I agree even more with the idea that it demeans the importance of artwork to music, because if you're just going anywhere online and finding an image and saying, yeah, that'll do, that's completely fine, as to choosing an artist, showing them the music, and then allowing them to go from there, from that point, and imagine what the music would sound like, or look like, sorry, as an image, and use their own expertise as artists to generate that imagery. That to me anyway sounds a lot more authentic, a lot more genuine as a way of representing the music that we are getting from that artist, from that label. And I say all of this because to me, artwork is extremely important, and if it wasn't, then you really could just use anything. I mean, as a reviewer, myself in particular, if the artwork is that bad in whatever way, if it feels inauthentic, or if it's done in a really kind of haphazard, again, particularly low effort way, then I'm simply not going to check it out. It isn't something that you just kind of gloss over and do half-heartedly. It represents the music, and it brings you into the story of the music before you've even heard it. If that part isn't done seriously, which is almost always the first impression impression by the way, the artwork, then I'm gonna have a harder time taking the music itself seriously before I've even gone into it. But from the human artist viewpoint, hopefully these discussions and awareness being had and generated about this topic, this issue, can just stand as a lesson to other labels in electronic music to not go down the AI generated art route. There are always going to be plenty, hordes and hordes of artists who can do this work. If for a given case it is genuinely a time thing and it is way quicker to get some AI generated artwork and they have to do it within that certain allotted amount of time, then I do kind of get it. I do have sympathy for that because I know how tough it can be working to a schedule. It is also, like we've been talking about earlier, likely cheaper, so for smaller labels that don't have that much money, there may be times where it is excusable, where you do understand it a little bit more. But going back to the original question and the title of this video, will AI artwork take over EDM? I think ultimately in the future, yeah, at some point it's kind of inevitable, as AI, well, in the same way that AI will take over many other things. But I think given the backlash to this, with this being brought up again through monstercat, yeah, the backlash to this from the vast majority of consumers and artists and underground producers alike, a lot of whom, by the way, make the best art. I just can't see many other labels or artists going down this avenue in the immediate future. I mean, yeah, it may cost less, it may be time efficient, those things are valid points, but is it worth it? Is it worth saving that little bit of money? Is it worth saving that little bit of time when you're potentially sacrificing the respect of your peers and community through foregoing the work of actual visual artists? For most, for many, for the vast majority, I imagine, yeah, it would not be worth it. Although maybe that take is completely naive and more labels will just be engaging with it now that it is available and basically just, I don't know, seeing what they can get away with. And that is going to be the way potentially that AI really starts to get a stranglehold in EDM and incorporate itself into that industry more and more. I mean, it is going to start ramping up significantly at some point, AI within this specific kind of music, and maybe this is the catalyst. As a counterpoint, and coming from someone who is relatively clueless when it comes to AI, maybe this is actually something that's been going on in a big way for ages within this scene, and maybe, just maybe, it'll be more a thing of not AI generated artwork being used more, but more that the people who have been using it for the last couple of decades or so within this scene, within this music, are just revealed more and more over time in the immediate and near future. Yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. But yeah, guys, just a few thoughts on quite an interesting topic. Let me know down below what you make of this whole issue and answer the question if you can. Will AI artworks take over EDM? Will AI take over EDM? Will the human part of music making and everything that comes with that be stripped from electronic music completely? I want to know all your thoughts down below. Drop them in the comment section. Drop the video a like, subscribe if you're yet to, and general bass music, electronic EDM coverage is your thing. Hit the notification bell along the way so you can be notified whenever I drop a new vid on this channel. Socials and my Patreon are linked down below in the description box. And yeah, thank you again very much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. See all of you legends in the next one. Keep it naughty until then.